Hello, welcome to the first HelloStrengthSeniors live mobility class. We're going to do some light stretching and some movement. So grab a yoga mat. You might want to have a pillow for extra cushion at certain times, just your body weight, maybe something for support. But I'm going to take you through about 20 to 30 minutes of some light movement, mobility, stretching, so that you feel even more confident going about your day-to-day activities. So we'll get started down on the floor. And so this first one is going to be a lying knee tuck. So just make your way down to the floor. You can follow along with me or go at your own pace, but you're just going to draw one knee in and then the other, giving it just a little tug. How far up you're going to be able to bring your knee depends on you. Just nice and gentle. We're going to do all of our little circuits 2 times. So the second time, you might be able to get a little bit more range of motion, a little bit more movement. So with the first one, just ease into it, nice and gentle, pulling one leg in and then the other. This is getting us a little range of motion at the hip and the knee joint. Since we're largely here to work mobility, I'll sprinkle in some little tidbits about that throughout our movements. And then we're going to move into our second one, which is lying windmill rotations. For this one, you're going to be on your side and try to have your knees tucked up at 90 degrees, also at the hip, and then your hands straight out in front of your chest. And then you're going to flip your palm facing the ceiling as you go around all the way. And I like to follow my hand with my eyes. I find that usually encourages a little bit more range of motion. You may notice your hand stays higher up than mine. That's totally okay. Don't force it, especially on the back side. However close to the ground you can stay is just great. And we're going to flip over onto the other side. So again, going at your own pace. I'll pause for a moment here so that you can get flipped over, reaching those hands forward. Knees are tucked in, and I'm going around my head all the way through, following my hand with my eyeballs. And so this is working mobility at the shoulder joint, especially on this back side, that range of motion. So this is a really great one for posture. And if you have tight shoulders, spend a lot of time at a desk or in a chair, just gently going through each movement, taking your own time. If I'm going quicker than feels good for you, you can go right at your own pace. We'll do one more on this side. And we'll go back now to our lying knee tucks. We'll go through both of these one more time just to get that extra range of motion and volume now that your body's a little bit warmed up to these movements. So tugging that knee just a little bit towards you. It's also a nice compression of our hip flexor, which is right here. So we're just pulling one side in, straightening it back out. And if this is your first time doing mobility exercises, they could feel kind of like strength training to you, especially some of the things we do a little bit later in this class. It'll all be gentle movement, but it's okay for it to feel like a little bit of work because we're still engaging your muscles, getting in a little bit of movement, some circulation to help wake the body up. Pulling one side in, each side one more time here. Wonderful. And then we'll go back through those lying windmill rotations. One more time each side. So here, if you notice you had any head or neck discomfort, you could always put a pillow under your head or a foam roller. But we're going to have those knees tucked in, Hands reaching out, flipping that palm towards the ceiling as you go around. Maybe especially feeling this when your hand is in this back quadrant. Really taking your time. And if you're new to a lot of these exercises, something about mobility, just like flexibility, is that it takes some time to see some improvement and some change. But if you keep doing mobility weekly or a couple times a week, you will see that improvement. So don't push it too much with trying to get extra stretch, keeping that hand close to the ground where it feels painful, just nice and gentle movement. And we'll flip over. You can just roll over to the other side if you like. And so this first circuit of these two is on the ground. Then we'll move to a hands and knees position and then to standing. So that it's nice and easy. You don't have to get up and down from the ground a bunch of times. That way you can get things done a little bit more convenient as well. So you're thinking about the shoulder here. Just coming through in a nice circle, not rushing it too much, but also not taking too long where you get too much of a stretch back there. Flipping that palm to face the ceiling, watching it with your eyes. We're going to do one more. All the way around. Wonderful. All right, so then we're coming into our section of 2 exercises that are going to be from the knees. So if you find you need more cushion on your knee joint, you can double up or triple up your yoga mat. You can grab a pillow for extra cushion. We're going to start in a hands and knees position. If you also felt wrist discomfort, you could elevate the heel of your hand on a towel. But for a cat-cow, our first one, we're going to think about our neck, shoulders, and back as you go from arching into rounding, really slowly and controlled, making sure we're moving the spine into an arch and then rounding it up, making sure we're pushing the shoulder blades together and then spreading them apart, and then making sure we're moving the neck as well, and then tucking the chin. So you can really alternate which part of the body you're thinking about during each movement. You can think one time hips, and then you can think shoulder blades, and then you can think head and neck. Good, and just do one more. Wonderful. Okay, this next one is also your chance to grab some extra padding for the knees if you need. This is also going to be really good for posture. You're going to have your knees, however far apart feels comfortable. It might feel comfortable to be a little bit wider, or if you want to challenge your stability just a touch, you can have knees closer together. But you're going to squeeze your glutes and have this rib cage tucked down a little bit. Make sure you're not arching at the lower back. And then we're going to do some alternating overhead reaches. So I know you can't quite see my hand, but I'm just reaching up and a little bit over, not too far to the side, but up and over. And I'm thinking about lengthening through my side as I reach. Bring that arm back down, reach, and come back down. So we're lengthening. What we're doing here is getting some lateral spinal flexion, which just means bending to the side. So we're helping a lot of our joints work in different directions and ranges of motion to help with their mobility. Wonderful. All right, these are our 2, so we're gonna do them each one more time so that you can hopefully feel like you've mastered it even more on the second round. You might feel even a little bit more limbered up. So for cat-cow, again, we're arching as we're lifting the head, and then we're rounding as we're tucking the chin. Squeezing the shoulder blades together and spreading them apart. Squeezing together, spreading apart. This time thinking about the hips, and then tucking them under. This time thinking about the head, and then tucking the chin. At this point, you might start to feel the body warm up a little bit, which is great. This is even this whole mobility class is a great warm up for before a workout, whether it's strength or cardio. It's a great way to have you feeling ready for that more workout intensity movement. One more of these. Perfect. All right, and then bring it back to the kneeling position. If you need to hold on to something to get into this position as well, totally okay. We're starting here with the hands reaching up and a little bit over. Again, keeping that rib cage pulled down, reaching up and over. Thinking about that spine bending a little bit to the side as you lengthen through your side as you reach. Totally okay if you don't feel even side to side, if one feels a little bit different than the other. That's why we work things independently, and then they can both improve over time. We're going to do one more. And then rest. Wonderful. If you need to grab water or even press pause, you can do that. We're going to come to a standing portion now. And our first one is going to be some wrist circles. A nice easy one where you start with your hands interlaced. And then it's often helpful to look at one thumb knuckle, and you're going to bring them in a circle. I'm not moving my elbows or my shoulders too much, but I'm just rolling those wrists in a circle. If you can think about clockwise, think about that, or just watch that thumb knuckle and roll it in a circle. And then we're going to reverse. That might work the brain a little bit, going the other way, a little less natural, but just roll in a little circle with those wrists. Bringing them around. Doesn't have to be too slow or too fast. Perfect. Then our second one, you're going to want a little bit of balance support for this one. So whether you're holding onto a broomstick or the top of a chair or a wall, something just for a little bit of stability. You're going to have your weight on one leg, and then with the other one, we're going to stand up nice and tall instead of collapsing into that leg. You're going to bring that knee forward, and then you're going to bring it out to the side. Bring that knee forward, and then out to the side. Again, going at your own pace. You can rest that foot on the ground in between, lifting front, lifting to the side. You might find that front range of motion a little bit easier than the side range of motion. We're working hip mobility with this one. We'll do it one more time, each direction. And then we'll spin, get that balance support, be up nice and tall. And again, raising the leg to the front and to the side. Try not to force the height of the knee by kind of jerking it up there. Just raise it as high as is natural and comfortable. with most mobility exercises, really all mobility exercises, you should be comfortable doing them. You shouldn't be pushing past that kind of natural limitation. So like for me, it's here, not forcing it up higher. We just want that to improve naturally over time. One more time for this. Wonderful. And then our third one here is going to be a hand halo. This is for shoulder mobility. So I'm just going to lightly interlock my fingers, and then I'm going to bring my hands to the side of my head, behind my head, and around, and then alternate directions. So show you this from behind. Think ear, back of head, ear, and reverse, back of head, ear. So we're going around and down. Also, the more stable you keep your hips and your core during this, the more you'll work just the shoulders instead of getting kind of extra mobility through the rib cage if that were to flare out. But it's okay if it does that a little bit at first. Bringing it around. One more time each way, behind the head and down, behind the head and down. Wonderful. So you know the routine now. We're going to do all those one more time, starting with the wrist circles. If you happen to know which thumb you had on top, just do the reverse of that this time. If not, you can just do whichever feels comfortable. And again, we're going around in one direction. Just thinking about making a circle. Might hear some clicks, some popping. It's totally okay, especially if there's no pain associated, just some creaks as you're getting moving. And then reverse and go the other direction. Just a nice circle, not too slow, not too fast. So essentially any joint we can work on improving the range of motion at. And so wrists, elbows, knees, shoulders, ankles, those are usually our most popular ones. You could do fingers and toes. We'll mostly focus on the bigger joints in these classes. All right, then we'll go into our second one. Again, standing tall, raising that knee forward and out to the side, forward and out to the side. I have my hand on my hip. You can have yours just out to your side or on your core as a reminder to have it engaged. Really wherever's comfortable. Front, side. And just a reminder to breathe naturally. A reminder to breathe at all. It's always a good one. One more on this side. And then spin. And we'll hit this other side. Standing tall. Little bit of tightness in the core. Raising the knee up. And then out. Good. I always notice on these I have a few more kind of noises or sensations in that hip the first time around. And then the second time it feels a little more lubricated, which is exactly what we're going for. And we'll do this one more time. And rest. Good. And then our last one in this circuit is that hand halo going around through the back of the head. Just show you from the side. And keeping my arms pretty close to my head. If you have a ponytail, you're kind of grazing that ponytail as you go around, not flaring the rib cage too much, but keeping it tucked. Going at your own nice pace, around and down, and around and back. One more time each way. Wonderful. All right, you already got 2/3 of this down, so we're going to move into our next little circuit here that starts with some hamstring sweeps. For this one, I'm going to put one foot forward, my heel on the ground, and then bend into the hip and sweep my hands from starting at my hip level, just in front of my legs. Keeping a flat back, try not to round too much here. A little bit of rounding in this is okay, especially as you get started. And then as you wake up those spinal erectors, you might notice you can stay a little bit flatter. So we're starting with hands here, reaching straight down to sweep. A little bit of balance, getting woken up here as well. Sweeping. Again, we're working a lot of hip mobility with this one. A little bit of flexion at the ankle. A little warming up for the back and the spinal erectors. Very good. Okay, then our second one is going to be a heel to toe rock. So for this one, again, using balance support, and you're going to raise up onto your toes and then rock back onto your heels, lifting your toes, maybe the ball of your feet, as much as that ankle allows. So again, waking up that balance a little bit, but use as much if you need support with both hands. You could face something for this one to hold on. Just going at your own pace. Raising up. Rocking back. One more time. Wonderful. Alrighty, and then our third one in this guy is going to be a little bit of neck mobility and stretching. Always a nice one, sometimes one that people forget. And so instead of doing neck circles, which can be a little bit harder or disorienting sometimes, we're just going to drop your shoulder towards one ear, then the other ear, and then tuck your chin down towards your chest. One ear, other ear, and then tuck it towards your chest like you're trying to create a double chin as you look down. One ear, shoulder to ear, other side. And one more time each way. One ear, other ear, and tuck the chin to the chest. Good. Okay, we're going to run through those all one more time for our second round as always. First one is these hamstring sweeps. Bringing the hands straight down first, then sweep them forward. Back is flat. Thinking about pushing those hips back a little bit. Stretching into this hamstring, that's the back of the leg there. And so as I mentioned, this is a really great way to feel ready to do some strength training or some cardio, those type of exercises that are going to be really great for your overall strength, bones, longevity, heart health. This is a great way to make sure that you don't rush into those activities and then hurt yourself or not feel like you woke up into the middle of your workout. Rest, good. Then we'll do our heel to toe rocks. Lifting, grabbing that balance support from a wall or something for support. Onto the toes, onto the heels. Keeping a little bit of core engagement. We'll Mobility is sometimes a nice time to also work on a little bit of posture, because you can practice just how you hold your core and your alignment of all your joints, shoulders over hips, hips over ankles. One more time. Wonderful. And then we'll move into our last one with our neck movement. So again, it's ear to shoulder, back up, other ear to shoulder, and then tucking for that double chin. So from the side, one ear, other ear, and then tuck as you bring the chin down. And if you notice, as you start to do more mobility, that there's a particular joint or even just one side, say your right shoulder, that is really kind of lagging behind, you can always then tailor what you do so that you do that a little bit more frequently. Maybe you remember a shoulder mobility exercise like our windmill rotations, and so you try to do those daily. If you're trying to work your shoulder mobility a little bit more, if you notice, oh, my hip mobility is pretty good, it's still good to work it, but you might not need to work it as frequently if you've already got pretty good range of motion there. All right, last ones. Well done. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed getting moving a little bit this morning and that you feel limbered up and a little more energized for your day. If you're curious about how to incorporate strength training or cardio into a really well-rounded routine, feel free to reach out. Go find us at HelloStrengthSeniors on Instagram and share this class with your friends, or come back and watch it whenever you need. Just a really light way to start your day, and hopefully we'll see you next week.